Welcome to Baxter Yoga. Today we're going to explore a variation of the kind of classic cat-cow dynamic sequence that we often use from hands and knees to warm up the spine. But you can actually do the cat-cow movements sitting or on the floor or even sitting on a chair and still get some really great benefits. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you grab a blanket and a block. I'm going to have you sit up a little bit higher because sitting higher liberates the pelvis to move a little more freely. So I'm going to set my block on the edge of my blanket. I'm going to come up to sitting, and I'm going to turn sideways so that you can see my spine a little more clearly and the movements that are happening. So the first thing you want to do is you want to establish your inner lift, lengthening up from your sitting bones to the crown of your head. And then from your seated position, we're going to move with the breath, just as we would if we were on hands and knees. So as you take your next inhalation, we're going to arch the spine up and back a little bit so the head drops slightly. And then as we exhale, we're going to round the back towards the wall behind you and let your head drop a little bit towards your chest. The inhale is equivalent to the cow arch from hands and knees, and the exhale is equivalent to the cat arch when we're on hands and knees. So let's move like that a few more times. Inhaling, smoothly arching the whole length of the spine, the pelvis rocks a little forward. Exhaling, the pelvis rocks a little bit back as we round back. And let's do that for 3 more rounds of breath. Inhaling, coming into a little seated back bend. Exhaling, coming into a little seated forward rounded position. 1 or 2 more like that. And then finally come back to neutral and just sit tall and notice how that feels for a moment. So cross-legged position with a little lift is very nice for many folks. I also like to do this particular sequence from the hero's pose position. So in hero's pose, I would kneel near the front of my blanket with my knees hip distance apart. I would splay my feet open a little bit, and I would take my block probably on the middle height, just because the majority of folks watching out there will probably be able to do this without any knee or thigh discomfort. You could always stack 2 blocks up and be a little higher if you need to. So again, I can get a nice lift here, and actually the pelvis has a little more freedom in hero's pose than it does in the cross-legged position. Let's repeat that series of movements one more time through. So from neutral and with your inner lift, on your next inhale, we're going to arch the spine, tipping the pelvis forward. And then as we exhale, we're going to rock back a little bit, rounding towards the chest. Inhale, arching, expanding into a nice little back bend shape. And exhaling and releasing forward into the forward fold shape. Together one more time. Inhale, arching the spine gently. And exhale, rounding the spine gently. Let's do that for 3 more rounds of breath. Inhaling, arching, and exhaling, rounding. Last 2 on your own. Let your breath be your metronome or your rhythm keeper. And then eventually you'll make your way to neutral, finding your inner lift, and pausing for a moment just to notice how that feels. So dynamic seated cat-cow, a great way to mobilize the spine in the flexion and extension movements that it has evolved to be able to do very nicely. You might add that into your practice or do it as a standalone little practice anytime during the day that you need to move that spine around. So that does it for today, a little seated dynamic cat-cow. Please follow me online at baxterbell.com and check out my blog, Yoga for Healthy Aging, and check out my YouTube channel, Baxter Bell Yoga, which has lots more of these videos on it. And then also I have longer practices at Yoga U Online, U like university, .com, and Yoga U Online has a practice channel where you can actually get a fairly inexpensive trial anytime you want to give it a go. So until the next time, thanks for joining me. Namaste.